Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the invisible digital engine that's literally powering human progress. We see the amazing final results of modern research all the time, right? The groundbreaking medical discoveries, the rapid sociological breakthroughs, those profound historical insights. But what's truly staggering is the sheer volume and speed at which all of these breakthroughs are happening today. So we're going to pull back the curtain and examine the fundamental upgrades happening entirely behind the scenes, looking at how modern technology has completely revolutionized the way knowledge is actually compiled and created.
So, how is modern academic knowledge actually built today? When you picture academic research, you might still be imagining that classic isolated scholar buried under towering stacks of dusty library books, painstakingly handwriting notes onto little index cards. But to really understand the unprecedented speed of modern breakthroughs, we have to move past that old stereotype. We need to look at the actual mechanics and the digital infrastructure that powers modern research, literally from the very first spark of an idea all the way to the final published paper.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the digital research transformation.
Okay, so at the very core of this massive shift is what we call information and communication technology, or ICT for short. Now, we aren't just talking about swapping out a vintage typewriter for a shiny new laptop here. We're talking about a totally interconnected web of digital tools that are fully embedded into every single stage of the research process. These tools fundamentally manage, compile, and produce the academic work itself. They've completely changed how modern scholars handle the massive, overwhelming flows of raw data and primary sources that really kick off the whole academic journey.
Moving right along to Section 2, automating sources and citations.
Listen, if you've ever had to manually track citations for a major research paper, you know it is an absolute logistical nightmare. I mean, one misplaced comma in a bibliography used to mean hours of tedious reformatting. Well, enter modern citation managers. Think tools like EndNote, Mendeley, and Zotero. These digital lifesavers integrate seamlessly right into the background of a word processor. This means whether a target academic journal demands APA, MLA, or Chicago style, the software instantly and perfectly formats the whole thing in the background, saving researchers from countless formatting headaches.
So why does this matter? By completely eliminating all that administrative busywork, these platforms actively reduce human error and ensure absolute consistency across hundreds of complex citations. And really, this is about unlocking human potential. Instead of spending valuable weeks manually checking italics and brackets in some massive bibliography, scholars can take all that mental energy and redirect it right back into the actual intellectual and creative work of their research. It's a total game changer.
All right, let's get into Section 3, drafting, data, and originality.
We've now entered what you might call the messy middle of the research lifecycle. In the past, the physical act of writing was a totally isolated endeavor. You just sat alone and wrote. Today, it's a highly structured, incredibly shared workflow. Drafting happens globally right in the cloud. You can have multiple co-authors editing the exact same document simultaneously from completely different continents. And when it's finally time for peer review, the manuscript is securely routed to external subject matter experts through dedicated digital platforms that organize the entire feedback loop.
But hey, before researchers can even start drafting their findings, they actually have to make sense of all the data. To parse these incredibly complex findings, scholars rely on specialized data analysis software that bridges the gap between totally different methodologies. There's specific software designed for the incredible nuance of qualitative research, helping to organize text, unstructured interviews, behavioral observations. And then there's an entirely different, incredibly powerful software built to crunch the heavy numbers required for quantitative research. It ensures absolute analytical precision no matter what kind of study you're doing.
So this entire digital ecosystem really works together as a team to elevate the academic process. You've got cloud storage powering frictionless global collaboration, while that heavy data analysis software provides immense analytical support. But honestly, perhaps one of the absolute most vital tools in this modern ecosystem is plagiarism detection. Acting kind of like a digital bouncer, it cross-references an author's text against billions of documents before publication. This safeguards originality and builds immense, totally necessary trust in the whole scientific and academic process.
And that brings us to Section 4, expanding global academic access.
Okay, so once the research is compiled, analyzed, and totally finalized, it faces its last major hurdle, reach. Back in the day, research was physically bound to specific university libraries, which drastically limited who could actually read and benefit from it. Today, though, online repositories and digital libraries completely smash those physical limitations. These digital platforms ensure that researchers, scholars, and eager students literally anywhere in the world can instantly access and build upon brand new scholarly materials. When you embed this technology from step one all the way to final online publication, the macro-level impacts are pretty undeniable. First, you drastically reduce human error, which gives us far greater accuracy. Second, you automate the time-consuming busy work, unlocking much higher productivity. And third, by making the final work instantly accessible to everyone, everywhere, you achieve true global connectivity.
Actually, this brings us perfectly to a quote from our source material that really hits the nail on the head. Information and communication technology elevates the quality of academic output, making research more transparent, collaborative, and impactful in the digital age. Think about that for a second. Technology isn't just making the physical tasks faster. It is fundamentally elevating the actual quality of the science being done and the richness of the humanities being explored. So, we've seen how tools from your basic citation managers all the way up to vast cloud-based repositories have completely rewritten the rules of how knowledge is built and shared. I want to leave you with this to chew on. With all these technical barriers to global collaboration completely removed, what does the future of human knowledge actually look like? When anyone, anywhere, can instantly access, analyze, and build upon the collective wisdom of the entire planet, the potential for what we can discover next is just truly limitless. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.